What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to To Base. It's your boys Gudo and Nate here from the To Base team. We are giving you a little video wanting to recap our limited PQ that we just had over the Kissimmee Coliseum of Comics. We had, I think there were 4 of the To Base team members over there this past weekend, yesterday. Had a great time. There's a lot to discuss around that. 5. I'm being told I am incorrect. First of all, Nate, how you feeling tonight? How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Excited to talk about some SWU. Excited for this meta and for upcoming sectors. There's a lot to talk about.
For sure. Yep. Let me go through, pivot to our topics. So today's video will go through, well, first of all, we got some new swag. And our boy Nate's got it on right now if he wants to show it off a little bit. We got the To Base logo with the aspects. You gotta have the aspects. A nice little flare to the hoodie. They're comfy too, right?
Oh yeah, it's been on all day.
Yeah, like you weren't able to go to the limited PQ to compete, but you came all the way out there with your buddy Adriel. Shout out to Adriel who made the intro to this video. Shout out to you. And you guys came by to kind of give us a little bit of a morale boost. I had the hoodies on me, so you definitely wanted to scoop that.
I had to come get my swag. Yeah.
We've got sectors, so we'll go into a little bit of kind of like our To Base updates as well. What's on our minds for 2026? What's coming up? Sort of some things that are, I would say, starting to brew on the back end. We're definitely looking to grow this year, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Obviously, like I said, we had our Kissimmee limited PQ yesterday, so we'll dive into that, and I'll kind of go through what I experienced, which was tragedy on my side of things, but well, on the competing side, I'll say. But I had a breakthrough, I would say, spiritual awakening in a Star Wars way at this event on the community side, and I'll definitely dive into that. And then we'll go into, I know it's been real popular lately on the kind of recapping the meta week to week. A lot of creators are putting out their perspectives on it. We want to give ours, and kind of go from there, and then we'll cadence to some of the SWU based stats, and we'll kind of break things down a little because there's some interesting flair that's showing up at these premier PQs as well. So, and then while we're on the topic of sort of PQs, let's get into our first slide real quick. Let me go ahead and get us to the next. So first of all, new hoodies. Shout out to Gabe, our teammate over in California, serving the Army. We got him some swag. He's been playing at his locals in California, which is kind of sick. Being a rogue To Base player over there in Cali, it's so cool now because we have a player in Georgia. We've got a lot of Florida players, and now we have, well, we got Tyler over in Boston now.
Yeah.
And then we got Gabe over in Cali.
We're coast to coast now, baby.
Coast to coast, baby. We got the East Coast, West Coast, To Base everywhere. Soon it'll be 10 to base because we in 10 different states hitting your base. So our 2026 hoodie line, I really just wanted something that was simple, kind of felt real, just clean, and this is kind of what we went with. So excited to get the team some new swag. I had these aren't for sale, by the way, so using the aspects, these are not for sale. This is really just for our team, so no profit from this, but this is more just internal stuff. Boost the morale, kind of get the vibes going. It's one of the benefits of being on a team, so had to get some new swag for this year. And as far as like updates for the team, we really wanted to, I'm brewing on an event idea locally in Florida. No real details on that honestly at all, but it's all ideas, but it's something that we really want to do. I mean, Nate, you tell me, you joined the team sort of early on. You were like one of the first 5 team members. Tell me what it's been being with Two to Base, seeing us at locals, and like I think the last like 2 sets, it felt like almost if we didn't have our team, would locals even fire? Some days actually felt like that. Tell me in your eyes, like what it means to be on Two to Base, like sort of how we want to grow, and how important has this been for our area, being a team and just like growing.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to any of the teams in the Florida area, but I would definitely say that Tuda Base has been holding down the locals, and that's been awesome. Just continuing to go out and support local shops and also just um, wanting to see the scene grow. Because I will say, as we've been to locals, we've picked up some new players that have been coming on a consistent basis and wanting to learn the game, which has been really cool. I had one week where a dude showed up with literally a starter deck, made some tweaks to it, and took me to a best of three, which was pretty cool. Um, so that's been awesome to see. And as far as what has been and what we want to be, I'd say that we want to see both sides grow. We want to see the competitive side grow, and we've definitely increased our footprint at events and PQs. um, but I don't think that we would consider ourselves growing and successful as a team if we don't grow in the community aspect as well. And so that's something that we're coming up with some ideas that are staples that we've seen, like 3v3 events and stuff that we want to run back. We did one last year that was really awesome. But there's also some events that we kind of want to pioneer that gives back a little bit more. We'll share more details on that in the future and how other teams can potentially get engaged with that and involved. But it's something to give back. And I think at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. This game's given us so much, and being part of teams given me so much. Turn around and give it back to the community and to other people is what's most important.
No doubt. That is so well said. I mean, this game, Two to Base, but also the community, this game has really given me an outlet. And I'm definitely hitting the drawing board to get out into the community, put on some cool events here in the Orlando area or somewhere else. I don't know yet. Really looking to just like get this thing growing, because this is a pretty good segue into the limited PQ recap, and sort of why I kind of thought of the idea to bring this up. Is that the vibes were just, I'll start off on the good, like more community side of this PQ and like what the breakthrough was for me. So it started out with, limited PQ, really exciting. I think these types of PQs are drawing a lot of like newer players too. I did talk with a couple players at the PQ. A lot of these folks, it was their first tournament in Star Wars Unlimited. A limited PQ. So it's just kind of irony. It's like the unlimited possibilities of this game, and here they are, like first event, and it's a limited PQ. So it was so cool to hear like newer players coming in this set, in this like really fun format. That was a great turnout. We had 50 people, so I think that's pretty fair for a limited PQ. If you look at the SWU competitive hub, it looks like a lot of events are averaging like between 40 and 60, 70 players. So not a lot are hitting those hundreds right now for the PQs. But as far as the limited PQ, I will say on the screen I've got the leaders that I think were like, some of these obvious, some of them were like, oh, okay, yeah, this is good and limited. For me, those are like the client. I think he's seen like an uptick as of the last couple of weeks, but man, a lot of the field was on Vel. We know Vel's really good and limited, so that wasn't a surprise to see. There were a handful of Aura Sings out there, so that was cool to see. A few Tobias, and then I personally played against a Saul Guerrero, a couple Sauls actually, that were just so crazy. in the field and just feels so oppressive. I mean, Nate, what do you think about some of these leaders on the screen and limited? And like, what's your take on the
I
state
think
of it?
that I think that there's some leaders where um, they're very strong for different reasons. I think Vel, because of her ability, can just innately push so much value. I think, and again, I didn't play the PQ, but I was able to walk around and support the team and see what was at the tables, and I saw a lot of Vel. And shout out to Eli. I think he won the PQ, right?
Yep.
I know he both drafted in the sealed as well as in the actual top cut drafted Vel, and he went to take that down. So
Mm-hmm.
congrats to him, Orlando local. But Vel was everywhere. And she gives a ton of value. I think that only gets stronger if you get removal or if you get credit hate, which there's a couple cards in different colors that allow you to do that.
Yep.
So I think she is a strong leader that can get even stronger if you pull the right cards. I think Aura can be incredibly strong if you pull the right pool. Um, you need removal, you need minus triggers, you need things that get you value and being able to get to her flip and use her ability throughout the game, as well as some sort of top end and villainy. Um, I think Boba is very good if you get the right bounty hunter pool. It's a lot harder if you don't get bounty hunters because then you're not really getting value from his credit generation.
Yep.
Funny enough, on the client, I think people weren't as high on him until the normal format started building client decks, and then they
Mm-hmm.
realized how strong of a deck that he could be, and they're like, oh well, exhausting in limited format and putting upgrade on the client on a 5-drop leader that comes out with a shield, it's pretty good.
Yep.
If you can get mastery in your pool, whether you splash it or you don't, and you put that on the client at 5, that's really tough to get around if you can't answer it fast.
Yep.
And then lastly, with both Tobias and Saw, there's definitely they're stronger in a non-limited format where you can build a fully constructed deck around them. But I think the value that they give you is you just have access to a bigger pool and more aspects, which in this current card pool that we have with this set in a limited format, it's much harder to build a synergized constructed deck because of the multi-aspect cards.
Yep.
But I think across the board, in some form or fashion, this is what I saw most consistently at the tables, with Vel probably being at the very top of that list.
Yeah, I had a pretty good pull. So I'll go through my eyes real quick. Great takes there, because I mean that's pretty spot on. And then, you know, of course you've got like some oddball splash leaders like Han, who's like, maybe you're not able to like use that ability, but if there's a lot of Vels, they're giving you credits. You can use that to ping a unit if
Yeah,
you don't want to use
could
it
be a good
to.
Vel counter.
Exactly. So that was cool. I had an option to play a Han, but I went with Vel because I did pull Vel, and then I had good cards. I just had bugged packs because I don't know what happened, but I ended up only drawing like 7 or 8 2-drops in all my 6 packs. So I didn't have a lot of opening plays. A lot of my games I ended up actually having to claim on the opening play, which is insane. But I did draw 3 droid turrets, 2 Bith
Nice.
brutes, and a Cinta Kaz. So I had so many sentinels to like get me further in the game. And like turn one's like, all right, I didn't get to drop a unit, but turn 2 I dropped a unit that stuck around for that whole turn. So I was from the back foot all day, and then I ended up actually building out Boba Yellow. I looked at my pool again. I had actually gotten burnt through one of the rounds so fast that I had like 30 minutes left to like, all right, let me build my second deck that I never had time to build, because on the opening sealed pool, I spent so much time trying to figure out how to play Vel, because I had enough for her. I just didn't have any early 2-drops. So ended up playing Boba Yellow, and that was pretty cool. But ultimately, I ended up going like 1 and 3, and then I knew I was obviously out. And so from there on, it was about fun and kind of connecting with everybody at the event. And this is where I had this breakthrough of like talking to the players, talking to families that, you know, are coming from Tampa, coming from, you know, a few hours away to really be part of the event. And it just sort of made me think of how important it is to keep spreading this game that we love, put more effort into it. It kind of kicked me into gear because work and sort of life has consumed me quite a bit. So I haven't really been able to hone in on some of these things that mean a lot to me, because this outlet is it's really healthy for me right now. So I want to put all I can into this. And this PQ just opened my eyes of like, it kind of gave me that light fire under the butt to be like, let me start working on this and continuing to grow, because like I said earlier, a lot of folks were there for their first big event. A handful of these folks were like, oh, I played Pokemon, played Magic, but I'm totally cut over the SWU. And it just reminded me of like when I started, and then, meeting you and bringing you into the team, and just sort of how it snowballed into what we have now. After going 1-3, I was like, all right, it's all fun from here on out. But then I kept asking myself, like, why are we doing this? It's for fun, whether I'm 4-0 or 1-4 or 1-3, like,
Yeah, totally.
so when that kind of kicked in, I just, it was a lot of conversations, great chatter about the game state, which we'll get into a little bit here in a second on the meta side of things. And yeah, it was just really good vibes at this PQ. I guess my run side of it was, I can't remember what leaders and like who I played. It was such a foggy day because so early on I was already out of it and kind of tuned out. And then I was just diving more into like the community side and like really connecting with everybody at the event. But I just had such a hard pool, and that my run really came down to like, I've played a lot of like these sealed generated pools online to like try to practice drawing and picking your cards. This was one of the hardest I've ever had. At the last limited PQ, I had a lot of success. Let me ask you something, Nate. If you were to end up going and you were able to play, what do you think you would have wanted to pull? Obviously Vel, but let's say aside of Vel, more on a Vel counter, what would you have wanted to play?
Um, I think client would probably be a good Vel counter, um, because now that I think about it, if you created a credit token, exhaust an enemy unit, so they give you a credit when they buff, so you just exhaust the unit that they buffed.
On that part, many times, had that been the case, like, because I was playing Vel and I played a couple clients where they used that against me, and it just felt so bad to be like, oh, I keep forgetting, like, I can create your credit, which gives you that token,
Yeah.
allowing you to exhaust. So
Yeah, a lot of the ways I've seen Vel played is that they'll save their buff for after resources have been spent or after the opponent has claimed, and that's like their last action, and then they pass and go on to the next. Obviously, you can't always do that. There'll be
yep.
instances where you want to buff first or you need to buff. I think it's just dependent on your matchup. I haven't played a limited PQ for this set yet, but in a lot of the pre-release events that I did, I played Boba because I did pull a good bounty hunter pool. And I will say, regardless of results, if you pull a good bounty hunter pool and you can drop something big, stupid early, it's a lot of fun. I had a
Yep.
game where I played Boba, and I was able to generate 3 credits. Um, and I dropped the new Darth Maul unit on 4 resources, which to
Yep.
the 7th drop, and it never left the board, so the game just totally
Mhm.
snowballed from there.
Yep.
But from a practical consistency point, if I were to go to a limited PQ, I would probably be looking for Vel as a primary or Client as a primary.
Yep.
And
No, it's
depending on
solid.
the pool, I would probably pick one of the double leaders if I didn't get like a strong pool of heroism or villainy.
Yeah, that's why I had these on screen. I'm like, all right, this is what I feel like is the top notch for the limited stuff. But no, yeah, I mean, great feedback. Wish we had you there, but you were there in spirit, and you were
We
there to
did,
pick up your
well,
hoodie.
for a little
So
bit.
the top 8 was cool. We had Crispy in there. George was in there. Yeah, Eli took down the event, and then we had a buddy from Miami who got second. Shout out to the 305th Legion. Those guys are all super cool. And every time they come up to Kissimmee to go to these PQs, I've met a bunch of them quite a bit. Um, and yeah, they're just good vibes guys. And yeah, so it was really cool. Tobin, I'm not sure how old he is, but he's part of a family that lives in Tampa. And I talked to the dad and got to play with the younger brother throughout the tournament, and like they were another just good boost of like that morale. Seeing the great side of the community was so cool. So overall, the event was great. Kissimmee, Coliseum at Comics, Kissimmee does really good. They ordered pizza for lunch every time, so it's really cool. They're great staff, and overall, the event was awesome.
Great staff.
Yep.
I don't, shout out to Warren, who knows me. He was like, "You're not playing today?" I was like, "Nah, I'm just stopping by." And he's like, "Oh well, we had spares," and he just gave me one of the promo cards, and I was like, "You didn't have to do that, but that's awesome. I'll take it." So
What a
shout out to
homie.
Warren. Yeah, he's a homie.
Yeah, there was another vibe at the event where like guy had I can't remember what showcase it was, but this guy like got gifted a showcase out of nowhere for like a few cards. He like traded him a few cards, but virtually the guy gave it away for free. And God, the vibes were just so good at the event, and
That's cool.
it really invigorated me to like even just get out to record on a Sunday like this and like want to talk about Star Wars again after playing it all day yesterday. Like it's just a good feeling. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much with the event. Eli took it down on Vel. He had it in sealed, pool, and draft, both insane decks. And he's just been a committed, limited player in our area for a while now. And he certainly deserves it. Shout out to you, Eli, if you watch this. Appreciate you if you do. So let's go into, we're going to jump into some more techie stuff. I want to talk about, so we'll go top eights and we'll just kind of do like a quick glance at, on the Premier side of things, where things are landing or where they continue to land, because a lot of this kind of looks like copy paste. But there is some spice we'll talk about. The first one, I kind of picked like I picked 4 events that had a high volume of players or just had really spicy stuff to talk about. So go into this first one over in France. They had 100 players. Towson Red takes it, and then Tobias is up there, and then the Boba's actually taking the back seat here, with a Uloran getting in 5th place. Obi Blue, I think this is just the record 28.
Yeah, it's just 28.
Yeah, and then Piet Blue, and then another Boba. So Boba's still showing up in the top 8s. But the Towson taking it is very interesting. What are your thoughts on what you're seeing right here for this one?
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a uptick in Towson for sure. I think that's in response to Vader as well as Luke. A lot of times they're putting in a lot of weaker ships early, and I think between Towson's minus effect or between pings, um, from cards like no disintegrations or there's another 2-drop card that I can't remember. But playing it early and hitting for 2, gaining the force, and then getting the minus to finish something on turn 1.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, the
drain
Acolyte.
essence, drain essence, no.
Oh, Drain Essence. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm high on that card, and I don't know if this list is running it, but
Yep.
it's just it's a good answer. Um, I think I think we're gonna see a continued uptick in Towson. Um, does not surprise me still to see all of the conversions from Boba. I might not have won, but when we'll get more into this later, but Boba is still seeing the most conversion rates in top 8.
Yep.
Um, the interesting deck in this is the Colonel Yularen Splash Base. There is this deck list has been socialized for the past week or so. It won a PQ um, in Europe, I believe, and it is stupid fast.
Yep.
It feels like set one Leia on steroids. Um,
Yep.
because they are looking to go BT1 into 000 into splashing either Hona or IG with the splash base. And then on the flip turn, if you haven't answered the Hona or the IG, they are typically flipping Yularen, slapping sudden craving on him, or flipping plot pout so that they're insulated with sentinels for the turn.
Yep.
And then in one action, they're doing 10 plus at a minimum to base, and it just snowballs from there. The big spice with this deck, though, is that it is running a very surprising but prominent droid package to where they are doing the invisible hand shenanigans.
Hmm.
As well as the new L3 shenanigans. Watched a stream the other day where played L3 and he spat out a high singer as well as like a DK droid to kill an upgrade. Um,
It's like all these
which is
cards too that people like have to read. So they're
Yeah,
like
there was
they're
a
not
lot of
teching for this
can I
deck.
what does that card do?
Yeah.
Can I see that? Here, let me flip that around real quick. So,
Hmm.
but an incredibly fast deck. I would not be surprised if this is played a lot at sectors. So it's definitely something to be ready for.
Yep. Yeah, I know Loopy and from Late Night Gaming. Shout out to Loopy and shout out to Late Night Gaming. They've been talking a lot about this deck, and I know he sort of did like a mini masterclass version of it. So stoked to see that. I know it's like probably really good to like dodge for those space decks, but then you have like the Obi-Wans and like Towson kind of just eats that deck up a little bit.
Thousand does cause this deck to struggle a lot.
And it's like, Towson saw that down tick, and then people are
Now
like,
it's seeing an
okay,
uptick.
I'm gonna play you learn to counter Boba, and then the Boba players are like, okay, I'm just gonna play Towson. So it's cool to see, but you still see Boba even in Data Vault. There's a Data Vault that actually got third here over the Lake Country. So not sure what they're doing that's like going to be better than Lake Country, but uh, yeah,
I'm sure they're probably running stuff like the Invisible Hand, like Craving Power, a lot of just powerful green units you get while still having a high HP base.
yep. And Tobias kind of just burns through Boba. It's like, okay, I'm gonna get to the end very quickly. Don't care about your flip. Don't care about your topple. And then Towson, maybe it's a matter of just sort of dodging a lot of Bobas and maybe only had to deal with one. I'm not sure. I don't know what the
I
match
think
spread was,
Talzin
but
outraces Boba because a lot of what I've seen
in
the
red
Talzin players
specifically, though, yeah,
in red specifically because they are flipping Talzin and they are putting Battle Fury and a constructed on her and saying, can you deal with my like 10-12 unit that's just going to constantly smack you?
yeah.
Because Topple doesn't kill that. So that's a lot of the strategy into the space while still, having the very strong round presence that Talzin does to be able to clear units from your opponent while still building your board at the same time.
Good stuff. We love it. That was 100 players in Italy. This one is from the Austin, Texas event at Game Castle. But this one, I got to watch quite a bit over the weekend, kind of pausing through YouTube and playing it when I could watch it. But some Vaders up in here, Chewie taking it down. Man, that finals versus Aura Singh Data Vault was really crazy. There were so many times where I thought Aura was going to turn the corner and come back, but Chewie going so fast. It's so crazy. I'm pretty sure there was like a turn where they were on the 8 or 9 resource turn, and Chewie, like the Chewie player, only had like 2 or 3 resources all game long, and it's just like he's still able to stick a unit that's threatening lethal or close to it with a pump, and it just that aura deck couldn't come around the corner there, and then Vader Yellow still proving able to hold its own with a Towson Yellow, Obi, Virgin Temple, which, I think Obi's just going to be really good.
I will say this guy did find the consular cheese in like 5 straight games. He found it turn 1 every single time. So I was like, man, that value engine is going.
Yep, he had it so much I could not believe it. I think the math on it was like there's actually like close to a 50%
He was
chance.
beating whatever the statistics are of how often you're supposed to draw.
Yeah, he like broke the math there and ended up in second at this event. So I'm sure there were some 28 Obies out there in the field too. But I mean, look, we're still seeing Boba. Almost at least one in every single top 8. I haven't come across. There's probably a few out there that maybe there wasn't a Boba in the top 8. But yeah. And then Maul Blue, it's like, hey, if you're not playing Towson, you're playing Maul. They sort of do the same thing, but we talk about this a lot lately. I just feel like Towson's the better pick for that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Towson's the better pick, and this is coming from someone who has a Maul showcase sitting next to him. Um, I I think Maul is more fun. I think Towson is better. I think the one reason people may be playing Maul is just for the double ping with Vader. So as he goes wide with his tokens, you could potentially kill something while pinging off a token. But I think that's really the only matchup where I think Maul may even be, I won't even say a better choice, but an
Yeah.
understandable choice. I think in the most matchups, Towson Red Shell is doing the exact same thing Maul is, just a turn sooner.
Yep. Now, interesting turnout here. I want to click into this Aura Sing deck. I've been trying so hard not to look at deck lists because then we go on a thing here. But let's look at this real quick. Honestly, why not? Let's. So, got it. This just feels like people like me who are like, God, I really want like a hard control or like some kind of soft control variant of a deck to come out. I know I was working on that Chancellor Red deck, didn't really do too good. But this, man, this has a lot of crazy spice with the Nihilist, the Bosk, expendable
Bosk is
mercenary.
MVP of this deck, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, really kind of throwing the math out there and just like an oddball unit. Pretty cool with the Anakins in there, a couple Landos. Like this guy's got all kinds of top end. I mean, he's really got the best top end that these colors has to offer, and I like the Nihilist too. The Nihilist is pretty damn good. So, and it's just a bunch of good removal, and then sideboarding. He had a Purgle King in the sideboard. He had one in the main. Main decking a Hyperspace Disaster, which he drew unbelievably, like on game one, so many times. This guy also broke the math a little bit. But yeah, the usual suspect cards in this kind of deck. But I mean, are we gonna see like a wave of Aura Sing decks now from this event? What do you think? You think this is just like a one-hit wonder and just kind of squeeze through there, or
No,
is this have game into quite a bit of what's going on?
I think we're going to see an uptick in Aura for sure. Because while Aura may struggle into some of the space decks, specifically Vader, it struggles more than Luke.
Mm-hmm.
I think this deck is very strong into ground-based decks that can't go wide. If this deck can keep you to one unit on the board, you are just gonna struggle. It's
Yep.
funny because it feels like you're not gonna be able to play the game, but it is not hard removal by any means. This is more unit-based soft
Yeah.
control.
Mm-hmm.
But units like Leppy, where it's fine if she dies. Her job is to smack your turn one and then aura ability. Or
Yep.
you have stuff like Lot's Razi that when you play it can do 3 damage to someone's turn one plus aura's ping. So it's all about getting incremental value. Eager Escort can kill just about anything in space until you get to 5 or 6 R. Um,
You could
so
actually hit it answers the hauler pretty good because you get to smack
that's the
this and
big line. Yeah.
yep, hit that. You hit the ability and take a hauler. Yeah, no, this is spicy. Really like what we got here. I might have to build this. I've been itching for
I
another
was about
one
to
of the
say, I know you're
this.
sleeving this up.
Come on now. I really wanted it to be Palp, but I just think she's got a
Just
better
wait till
ability.
next set. Your palp's coming back.
Oh yes, at 8. Let's go to, and of course we want to shout out the Chewy Yellow player who won, played amazing.
Yeah.
But that deck pretty straightforward. Go fast, win fast. This one, okay, so this Italy, the first one Italy too? Do we get too crazy? Oh, so sorry. First one was France. This third one was in Italy. Only 51 players, but I picked this one to look at because we got some spice up in here, and we love spice. So Chewy Blue taking down the event. I can't click deck list for this one.
I
Then
can
we
tell you
have
what it's trying to do because I have it built. Um, one of the big plays is they're either looking to play the shield generator dude where you pay an extra one and you give a shield, or Secret of Sage, use the base's ability to pop the shield and give a credit and then flip Chewy on
on
turn
2.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Turn
it's
2
an
Chewy
early Chewy
shenanigans.
flip. Yeah.
The only feel bad there is if you flip into like a droid turret or
That's the thing about Chewy is it can win. It does feel like what's going to separate someone who's playing Chewy versus a good Chewy player is knowing when to flip versus when not to flip, because Chewy is your
yeah.
primary win con. It's not going to do all of the damage. The goal of Chewie, I mean, there might be games where he just stays on the board and wins the game, but the goal of Chewie is to do so much damage that by the time you've dealt with him, you can finish the game with the rest of the stuff in your deck from push damage or just playing other good units like the new Kaz from Secrets.
Yep.
A good Chewy player is going to know when to flip and when not to flip, especially with this blue base, because the temptation is going to be, oh, I can do the cheesy thing and flip turn 2, but that might not always be the correct line.
That's right. Yep. No, yeah, I mean you posted that in our Discord. I gotta try that out. I haven't played a Chewy yet, but I'm definitely gonna dip my hands in it after I dip my hands in this Client Blue stuff going around, because I've been on this Client Red a couple days now. Really fun, fast deck, but the blue, we got 2 Client Blue in this top 8. The odds that I gotta call Tyler, our teammate up who moved up to Boston, I gotta call him for the odds on that, because I mean, who's playing Client Blue? This might have been the only Client Blues in the whole tournament, and 2 of them were in the top 8. I don't know if that's true. There might have been more, but I mean, geez, I gotta see what that list is all about. Have you seen anything on that?
No, this is one of the times in the video where I'm like, man, I really wish we could click into this list and
Yep,
see what's going
same.
on. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
this is this looks like a limited. I at first I thought this was a limited PQ results, but no. Yeah, I mean, you got Jin up there too over a
Yeah, the
Vel.
only 2 non-new leaders. That's actually something to talk about. Out of this top 8, there are only 2 leaders outside of the new set. Luke JTL and Obi-Wan from Legends of the Force. Everything else is from this new set, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, no, it's a feel good, because we have had times where sets come out and not one leader's top 8, and there's not a lot of playing in it, and maybe we're using a mechanic from that set, but we're not playing like, you're not winning events, or it's not top 8ing. So really cool to see Lawless Time really showing out, and we're already getting spoils for set 8, which will be saved for another video. So stoked to talk about those too. No, this is a spice event for sure, and would have been like crazy to see all the lists of this event, because this is just top 8, and I want to see the rest of the spice at that event. What are they eating over there in Italy? A lot of pizza. Don't hate on me if you're Italian. A lot of Italians are probably mad at that right now. All right, so we got another 182 player event over in the UK with a Sabe Data Vault taking it down. I mean, hey, if you don't have the cards to play, then what is your deck going to do then, huh? Really interested in seeing this. So it looks like I keep seeing these DSP folks, DSP, probably a team out of UK. Looks like we got some Bobas up in this top 8. Excuse me. Got a Chewy Yellow there, Vel Red by T-Mouse, who I believe he or she, I believe it's a he, might have been one of the first to write this Vel Red list. Seen him a lot in these top 8s, and pretty sure he won a PQ recently. I think he won on the first weekend of this set with this Vel Red, but committed to that. And then we've got a Yularen Red with a Thrawn Yellow popping in there. A lot of the Thrawn Yellows have been on that Force. Do you think they're in that for the Stranger stuff?
I think the combination of cards that give reduction, like Talzin's Assassin, plus Stranger, plus Thrawn's normal shenanigans is really good. Plus, you're getting a good package with Night Sister Warrior. I'm seeing a lot of old DACA. I was on old DACA before the new set, where it was my post rotation Thrawn pre-new set, and I was running the Night Sister package plus old DACA, and that was doing really good. A lot of sneaky things that I've seen with Thrawn is if you don't have Chimera, you can still kill your own legacy run with Anakin or Talzin's Assassin, and sometimes people aren't expecting that. I also think she and Vader is still absolutely busted. Is one of the only ways that we can actually ambush Vader now that we don't have ETL or Timely. So I think there's probably some of that going on as well.
Yeah, a lot of these green hero decks, or even like just these 5 health sentinels that are getting dropped, And then deploying their leader, she and Flurry Vade are still pretty good because then they could take out those 5 health Sentinels and then kill the leader as well. So yeah, that combo's still out there, and we're seeing it in a top 8 over here in the UK. But Sabe, let's take a look at this list. We do get to see this one. So I'll pull that up on screen. Let me go down a little. Yeah, so good cards, good stuff deck, if you ask me. This is really just
But
a
still
bundle.
low to the ground.
Yep, so it's able
Not
to pivot.
expensive.
No, it's a, sort of like that below curve game, but no real top end, not playing the Keller end. This is like, I want to beat the space decks, but also have a chance to party on the ground or stop damage on the ground at least, and create some weird interactions like Rose Tico coming in readied, and the Season Fleet
She's so
Admiral.
good.
Interesting on the Season Fleet Admiral on an opening
It's,
play, just like,
it's for all the aggressive negotiation decks that are looking to draw a bunch of cards.
yep. No, I mean, hey, it's fair. There's a lot more card draw right now in the game, so that makes sense. 3 Commandeer in the sideboard. That's probably just like, okay, I'm playing against Bobo, I'm playing against Space
Yep.
Deck. Let me take ships. So really cool there. I like this. I did fiddle with this a little bit online earlier, and it's definitely a fun deck. It's right up my alley, and I think it's spicy. So taking that event down for sure, really really big on them. And then more Boba, right? So
More Boba.
no surprise here. So like, just looking at these events, I'm like, yeah, we got some spice splashed in there, but I think this meta is starting to settle sooner than we thought. I mean, you're always gonna have, and let me go. We'll pivot now. Well, before I move on, you're always gonna have those like rogue decks that pop up, and then you're gonna have standardized leaders that show up. But I think for the most part, we're seeing like the Bobas, the Chewies, the Vels, some Yularen, and of course the Obies. Like, a lot of this looks similar, except for this event, um, to what we've seen before. So yeah, no, really exciting stuff. So finally, let's go into this. So we want to start looking at Swoo Base. Let me actually blow this up full screen. We want to look at Swoo Base to break down some of what's going on out there on the numbers side. So why don't you give us what we're seeing here? And this is the meta share of the last 2 weeks, so it's going to cover quite a bit of events at this point. Early on, you don't have a lot of data, but now I think we have a little more stuff to play with. So what are you seeing here? And do you think this is going to really change if there aren't changes to like bans or suspensions? Which we'll talk about that separately, but what are your thoughts of what you're seeing here, man?
Yeah, it definitely looks like the meta is settled, and the top 2 decks are Boba and Luke. Boba with 238 decks played over the past 2 weeks, Luke at 142. So JTL is at the top of the meta right now. I do find it crazy that the difference between Boba and Luke is very high, but then you look at top 8 and champions. Of the 238 that were played, 44 converted, so 22%, which is actually a pretty good conversion rate.
Yep.
Luke had 142 played, but only 18 converted. 0 wins and 9 wins for Boba, which is a lot. That's huge. Lando Calrissian is at 136 over the past 2 weeks with 18 top 8s and 3 PQ wins. I do think that Lando has seen a little downtick at if not in play rate, in conversions, since the some of the early special tournaments like the Nexus Invitational and the Cantina Clash that McClunky put on, where it was initially put on display and people saw the power of the deck. I think the shift towards more fast decks like Chewy or decks like Towson, the blue version struggles a little bit more into because it is a little bit slower. You are trying to get to that top end. You are trying to stabilize, but on the instances where you can't and you might just get run over. I think Lando is still very highly favored into Luke, which is why you still see it being played because Luke is up there. And I think Boba is a little favored over Lando Blue just because, again, you can get at that top end, but Boba is so good at pushing damage through all of the indirect burn leading up to that point. It does feel, as a Lando player, like you were walking a tightrope and you were on a timeline. Um, there
Yep.
has been an uptick in Obi. It's only seeing 111 play, but of that, 16 top aided, and we have one PQ win. So it's still a low percentage, but I do think Obi right now is actually favored into Boba because it's running a huge restore package, or if not favored, it's not a serious lopsided battle.
Yep.
Um, so I think Obi is going to see an uptick in play, and I also think Obi has a maybe not so much into the blue version if of Chewy just because all the shielding that you could potentially do, but I think Obi is much stronger into Chewy yellow because of strong Sentinel, strong units that can get Chewy off the board sooner than other decks can. Obi is playing a lot on the ground, so the primary win con of the Chewy deck can be taken care of pretty quickly. And then as long as you can stabilize, you can restore your way to victory. Um, I think Tobias is 68 played, 11 top eights, and 2 wins. That's pretty good. Um, I think Tobias is a very hard deck to play, which is why we don't see a lot of people playing it. We did see early success with it. I do think it is a combo deck, and combo decks
Yep.
tend to be harder to play. But it is a very fun deck. It's very interesting. It's very new. So I do think people are going to continue to play it. But if I'm evaluating this, which I am getting ready for sectors in Atlanta next week, I'm teching for Boba. I'm teching for Luke. Um, and I need to expect those matchups. I think Chewy, even though he is not on this top 5 list, is another deck to be ready for because I do think that that is going to see an uptick in play. And even
Yep.
though Towson is not on this list, I also expect to see a lot of Towson as well. So, whatever deck that you're going to play, if you're going to sector, you need to be ready for those matchups. Boba, Luke, Obi-Wan, Towson, Chewy, and Lando are my biggest targets too. Do you know how to play those decks? And do you know how to play into them?
Yeah, no doubt. No, that's huge feedback. I mean, like you said, Boba, Luke, you got to be prepared for them. Luke not converting, but making himself known in the top eights. So you just know that you will have to be prepared to play one, no doubt. And yeah, you could always expect the rogue decks. I mean, there were 218, like 15% of the
Others.
meta. You
And
know,
Yularen will be one of those. And Client will probably be one of those too. Those two decks, I think specifically, will see some rogue splash, pun intended, splash play
yeah.
at sectors.
Yeah, our team. We've got a handful of us going out there. I won't be able to go. I was going, and then now I'm not going. So I'm a little upset about that. But you guys will be up there repping. I know it's you, Tom, Ryan. Can't think of who else is going off the top of my head. But no,
Kyle.
Kyle's going. Yep. Well, he lives up there. So our boy Kyle up in
Might as well.
Georgia. What'd you say?
I said might as well if it's in your back door.
You better get there. No, this is all really good stuff. I mean, yeah, like let's go on a final thought screen. I'll switch on over here. So, really love chatting with you on the meta stuff, man. We'll give a quick before we wrap up. Why don't we go a quick like, how do we genuinely feel about Premiere? I got some feedback from some people at the limited PQ. I got mixed reviews on this. A lot of them saying, Boba, Luke, it's just feeling like it's sort of stagnant. I know players like Woo have a strong opinion on this. Um, I think that initially the set came out and like everyone pivoted to space decks. I think that was a known like we know that JTL is going to be good. We know that these leaders are going to be impactful. Let's just commit to that. And I think that's where we're at. The top 8 in conversions for Boba are, undeniable. But Luke is the only other real committed JTL leader, pilot leader, that we see really showing up in the top 8s. But, like, he didn't convert any wins. So, like, Is it really an issue? Or are we going to start seeing like these ground based decks come back in that maybe aren't from JTL that are going to end up kind of making an impact and shaking things up a bit? Like, how do you feel about it?
So I'll give a positive and a negative. On the positive side, I think that the game is very balanced in removal. I think the new removal in the game feels a lot more balanced in how it's used when it's played, and how it needs to be respected. I think there's a lot more interaction and thought that needs to go in setting up your removal. So that's been a positive for me in the set. I like where that's at. Um, I do tend to agree, and not in the sense that I don't know about ban boba. I have been hearing talk of maybe ban topple just because that interaction feels very broken, and I do tend to agree with that, because there's not too much that you can do outside of plotting Galen or playing Galen and naming topple just because it does hide in the resource row.
Yeah.
Um, I will say I enjoy the games more where there is a lot of back and forth and a lot of interaction. And I think the issue that people have, and maybe not to uh, an overly frustrated degree, but to an understanding degree of where people are coming from, it does feel like sometimes it's like, I'm going to do my thing in the ground, you're going to do your thing in space, and we're going to see who gets there first.
Yeah.
Um, and it feels a little bit less interplay back and forth between you and your opponent. So I think some adjustments need to be made to balance that out. I don't know what that looks like because you can't go just ban every JTL leader after they've invested in making the set. And based on the conversion rates of, like you said, it's really just Boba right now that is converting at a high rate.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think Boba would be the only one that would be targeted, but I think something does need to be done to um, make, if not in the near term, in the far term, to where it feels like there is more of a balance in the arenas. Because right now it feels like players are picking one arena and just staying there predominantly versus
Yeah.
constructing holistic decks around both arenas, which I think is the way the game is intended to be played.
Yeah, we want interaction. The games where we have interaction, we have the most fun. Some of these like two ships passing in the night games, they're maybe don't feel as fun. They do have their times where there's, technicalities and like technique and a lot of skill expression that goes into those games that maybe aren't as interactive directly. There's other ways to remove, there's other ways to interact with, across arenas. But I think overall there's definitely, we have sectors coming up which should show a bigger volume number of data in one event, so maybe we get a little more info there. What we've seen from PQs showing Boba up front and all these, some of these ground decks just chasing behind, with Luke still as the second most appeared leader in the top eights. I mean, Orlando's tied there at 18, so uh, for third or for second. So interesting to see how it turns out. I'm stoked for you guys going to sectors. I'm definitely going to be watching, tuning in. I'm actually considering if I'm available to be able to stream and do a watch party. So I'll be watching
That would be fun.
the event, pseudo playing online while I'm watching. So I think that'll be a cool stream to watch. But yeah, man, no, really appreciate the time. We went pretty well over time, but you know what? This one really had to go the distance just because there's a lot to talk about. Super happy to share how the event went with the limited PQ and Kissimmee. Love talking the meta with you, my man. For two to base, yeah, we'll be at sectors. We also have a Jacksonville peak. Jacksonville, no, Lake. Somewhere, actually, I think it's down south by West Palm. There's another PQ
Yeah,
in West Palm coming up. Uh, I think I'm gonna be making it out there. I'm not too sure, but we will definitely have a presence there at that PQ. Two to base is growing. I'm excited for the rest of this year. I'm super high on SWU right now. I mean, I know the meta might, to some people, might feel a little wonky, but I'm enjoying every time I go to locals. Locals is showing up.
absolutely.
The weekly play packs is enough to like go out to your locals. Those cards are like those cards that people went to Worlds to get. Like they're that good. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, totally.
So like
So good.
Locals is filling up. Also, shout out to the Thron's Pawns guys who were from, I believe, Minneapolis or
Minneapolis, yeah, they
Minneapolis.
just moved in town.
shout out to those guys. Got to play against a few of them at the PQ here this yesterday, and had some chats, and really love the vibes those guys are bringing. I will see you guys at locals for sure. And guys, if you like the content, you enjoy the video, you want to hear more discussions, feel free to hit that sub button and join our Discord for more deck list discussions, because we're putting out a lot of gas in that. So yeah, appreciate the time, man. Any last thoughts?
Nope, just keep playing SWU, go to your locals, have fun.
You always end the videos like that. I love it. Our community guy really showing out. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your time, and yeah, we'll see you on the next one.